Thank you. It is close. Okay, my question is about meditation and connection to Source. I feel on a day-to-day basis like I'm a powerful manifester. Things and people and relationships line up, and I'm in that flow, and it's great. And I also get several comments from people that they see me as this being of light. They see light coming from me and all this stuff. I can't feel that yet. And with meditation, I feel like I want it, I intend it, I set the rocket out, I release it. I don't have a hindrance when I sit down and try to do it. And year after year and day after day, I feel like I sit down and I'm contemplating, thinking. And the reason I want that is because I want to feel what connection to Source feels like, which I think is a little more than just feeling good all the time.
Not really.
Okay.
If you could get yourself feeling really bad for quite an extended time, then you would notice the difference in not feeling good and in feeling better. The thing that we want you to focus upon over the next day or two as you meditate, these are the words that we want you to just softly roll across your mind. Vibrational relativity or vibrational relationship. And then realize that it's like if you're in an airplane high in the sky going fast and you look out the window, 50,000 feet, 500 or 600 or 700 miles an hour, you look out the window and everything's going by, but it seems calm enough. You're sort of kicked back in your seat, experiencing your fast progress in an attitude of well-being. Put that same aircraft on the ground, sort of a white-knuckle flight. Certainly you would feel the resistance of it being on the ground. So what happens to you is, over time, you were born tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You were introduced to experiences where you went with the flow and 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 you went with the flow. And going with the flow became common enough for you that it became a non-issue. In other words, going with the flow. I'm going with the flow. I'm going with the flow, which means I'm most often optimistic. I most often look for the reason that something will work. I more often look for someone's positive aspects than their negative aspects. I don't try to maintain control over things that I can't maintain control over. In other words, you have managed to get yourself in alignment with who you are, where you are often following the impulses of that broader perspective. So you have learned not to be resistant to who you are. That's why people say, I see the light around you. I feel the clarity of your being. You're someone I want to follow. I want to be where you are. That's what they tell you, because you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on a lot of the time, you see. And then you say, oh, I think I will meditate. And we say, we teach meditation. You might laugh at this, but we teach meditation because it's easier to teach people to have no thought than to have pure positive thought. But we would rather see you in appreciation than in meditation, because in appreciation, there's no resistance and you're focused in a direction of what you want to go. Meditation is the process that we would encourage anyone. If you're going this way and you, upstream, struggling, and you want to get your boat turned around, but every time you try to think another thought or not think a thought, that thought is so active it keeps calling you back. Meditation is a really good process where you just count, or whether you just listen to the dripping of a faucet, or where you focus on the flickering of a flame of a candle, or whether you listen to the din in the air conditioner, or you find some motor off in the distance that you focus upon. Just something that you can focus upon that distracts you from this. And when you get distracted from this, then your vibration raises and your boat shifts and off you go, you see.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the funny thing is I find myself thinking positive thoughts so much that my next goal I thought would be to quiet the mind altogether. But the reoccurring thing that keeps happening into my life, I keep manifesting, is the people who I look at as mentors say to me, I want you to realize your true being, your true nature, your true connection to Source, and that, okay, you're not this and the clothes and the doing and what you do and your talents and your abilities and who your friends are, but that, I mean, everything you talk about. And are you just saying that that's the feeling of just total wellness all the time? That's what
we
that
are,
is?
But we love hearing all of this from you. Here's the big misunderstanding of spiritual-minded people who are walking this planet today. They keep thinking, and you just said it so well, that sure things are going well for me, and sure I'm happy a lot of the time, and sure things are manifesting for me, but shouldn't I be more spiritual? And we say everything about this environment is spiritual because it is all the extension of that which is spirit, you see. Don't try to cause a distinction between the abundance that flows to you and the well-being that flows to you and the vibrational stream on which they come, you see. And so, now here's the next thing we want to say to you. You'll hear this easily. So, we've been talking about this emotional scale and how there's appreciation and love, and there's frustration, and there's fear and despair. And wherever you are jumping in today is where you are, and as you reach for relief and begin turning, you can feel an improvement in relief. And so what you're thinking is that since things are already going really well for me, that if I meditate, that it will take me even further. Yeah. And what we're wanting to say to you is that no thought is not better than pure positive thought.
I've never heard that before. Wow, thank you. I've never ever experienced
pure positive thought. In other words, don't you think that Source is thinking? Do you know what happens to Esther when she meditates? We write a book through her. Every time she quiets her mind, she gets a stream of dialogue. So she'll sit to meditate and then immediately goes for a computer to write down all of this good stuff that's beginning to flow. So does that sound like no thought to you? Or does that sound like in her quieting of her mind, she accesses where she really is? It's been happening to you, hasn't it?
If I wanted to channel you through me, wouldn't I need to be in a place of quiet thought, or no thought at all, I should say?
You would need to be in a place of receptivity, but appreciation is as receptive as it gets. Love is as receptive as it gets. Do you know that the basketball player who is out there on the floor with thousands of people chanting his name and he would say he's in the zone, we would say he's in the flow. In other words, and he's not thoughtless. He's thinking. He's thinking about what he wants in a vibrational attitude of absolute allowance, and that's why he has the stamina he has. It's why he has the dexterity that he has. It's why he has the strength that he has. It's why he has the focus. It's why he has the ability to do with that ball what he does with that ball. The musician who is receiving the music is in a state of allowing the music, but often at a heightened state of thought receptivity, you see. So what you got to realize is that at your highest tuned in, tapped in state, there is thought. But it's really, really good feeling thought.
Yes.
So rather than trying to be thoughtless, try to be good feeling in the thought, good feeling in the thought, good feeling in the thought,
more
good
of the
feeling
day,
in the
more
thought,
of the time, yeah.
Good feeling in the thought. That's what you're reaching for, not thoughtless. The thoughtlessness releases resistance, and releasing resistance gives you relief. But where does the person go who usually feels good? What do?
I just continue to think more and more and more positive thoughts.
So if your mind gets more and more active upon the possibilities. So now let's talk about what we were talking about earlier. So this vibrational escrow of mass consciousness has some marvelous things in it. In other words, you today are living the results of what past generations have put there, and future generations will live the benefit of what you all are putting here. But so here's this vibrational escrow full of all of this wonderful potential, and you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Those thoughts of that will begin to flow into your experience. Ways of realizing that will begin to flow. Diplomacy, ideas for diplomacy, the right thing to say at the right time will begin to flow. You'll be in the right place at the right time. You'll rendezvous with the right person at the right time. In other words, to be in the stream and actively thinking and guiding. Our friend said that earlier, and we thought it was such a wise acknowledgement. I want to be able to be specific and allowing. So in the beginning you hear us say, what is it that you want? When you want it and you believe it, then it is. And then you hear us say, this is a science of deliberate creation, and so be deliberate about your thought. And then we see you freaking out over your thoughts. You begin saying, cancel, because you caught yourself thinking something and you're afraid that it's going to come to pass. And so now your deliberate creation begins to worry you. And then we say, This is the art of allowing. Of course you want to think about what you want, but when you find yourself not thinking about what you want, don't panic. Just release. Just relax and release the thought and let the stream carry you. And so now, do you see how it all fits together? In other words, you are a creator, and we always say, be as specific as you can be and still feel good.
Absolutely.
So if you are general and feeling good, that's better than if you are specific and feeling bad. But if you are specific and feeling good, that's better than being general and feeling good. So with every subject, you just want to keep playing with it, keep working it into greater and greater specifics and feeling good. If the choice is be specific and feel bad or be general and feel good, by all means, be general and feel good. But after a while, being general and feeling good won't be enough for you. You'll want to be more specific. So as you make your effort to be more specific and still feel good, now the energy moves faster. And if you get too specific and you don't feel so good, you can feel resistance ensuing. So now just be more general. And this is the way you just keep working your way into this place where you can be thinking powerfully. You can be directing your life specifically. Nothing is more exhilarating than to be going with the flow and be thinking about where you're going and watch the stream part for you, seize part for you, to watch the stream turning things around that others would think are impossible because you've become specific enough that you have asked the stream to work on your behalf in your attitude of non-resistance in a way that it has never worked for anyone before. And people look at you and they say, I see your light. You've got something special going on. What is it? And you say, first of all, I believe in the stream. Took me a while, but I came to believe in me. Started to believe that I'm worthy. Next, and most important, I figured out what it feels like when I'm letting myself go toward what I want and what it feels like when I'm not. So I started releasing resistance and letting myself go, and then started feeling so good, just going with the flow. And then I started wondering, am I being specific enough? Could it feel even better? So then I began directing my thoughts even more specifically, and I found that I could direct my thoughts even more specifically and feel even better. That's as good as it gets, friends. Okay. To be specifically creating in an attitude of knowledge that whatever it is you're asking for, the universe will assist. How good is that, you see? Teaching through the clarity of your example.